Today we have a very special guest joining us for stock analysis and economic analysis. The name is Nikhil Vora, but all through my reporting career, if I looked up to a researcher, even for reporting skills, it was Nikhil Vora. The amount of sixth sense he could bring to bear on stock numbers was absolutely mind-boggling. Not surprising, he has called his new venture Sixth Sense Ventures. Nikhil Vora, good morning and thank you very much for joining us in our studio.
Morning and pleasure to be here again.
Well, you know, this is obviously once in a many generations. I think it's an unprecedented event. You can't even call it once in a century kind of thing, because for such a complex economy with largest population, so much of currency usage, this has never been, attempted. How would you trace the impact of demonetization on the economy? 1 quarter pain, 2 quarter pain, 1 year pain?
You know, Lata, and I think it's important, and I'm sure you guys have done enough and more in the last few days. In any changeover that one's looking at, that changeover has to be drastic and dramatic for it to be impactful. It requires no saying that there is pain for almost everyone. While it supposedly brings about a level playing field for the common guy, the fact is that the common guy was actually benefiting the most because of this black economy, or the so-called unaccounted economy in the market. So there will be pain in the next maybe couple of quarters and more. But I think it's we also have this entire thing about, you didn't develop the electric bulb by making the candles bitter. You couldn't have done that. So you have to create a level playing field. This is a market where, and as economies grow, it has to become cashless. It's an irony that in Indian context, we've lived with this over the last few decades, and no one's really battled an eyelid, because frankly, everyone's been participating in it. You, me, I think everyone has in some form of unaccounted money, not necessarily legal money. So I think there is pain, there is this transitionary impact which happens, but we've seen that in Indian context, transitionary impacts are also something which Indian consumers are very adept to change. It's happened before, not to the magnitude as what we are at today. So look at how DMAT really took off, and the transition was frankly very smooth. Look at how airline ticketing really started to shape up. Now, one may call it to be a mid-premier phenomena and not really a mass phenomena, but I think this will also go. I know of more than enough instances of how businesses are down by 90% and so on, possibly more, and I don't think that will change in the next month or so. But the fact is that people crib if they have to stand in a line, in a queue for a movie ticket. They've not done it for such a huge impact in their own life, and these are daily wagers and so on. So I think it's a brilliant impact. It's showing up on the conviction of most ordinary citizens of the country, and at some stage I think you have to give in to something which is for the larger good, for which I think it's very welcome.
Nikhil, good morning. That clearly, I mean, your conviction was always there. You were one of the first investors in Paytm. That's what we've been told. But are there enough, companies in the industry and the economy to play this demonetization? That's something that our viewers would want to know from you.
So I think, the narrow objective is obviously what you were looking at, which is what businesses and stocks to buy into and stuff. I think what will be important is to really look at really kick-ass businesses in a big-ass market and a smart-ass product. I think if you really get these three things right, you've got your businesses right. In the Indian context, again, my sense is that almost most large players have their own inability to change course. Because you're large, you're successful, by default, you cannot change course. So you have to look at challengers who can actually unsettle the leaders. And I think there will be a lot of challenges which will emerge from this space. So like you rightly said, Paytm is obviously one play, and obviously I'm biased, I'm an investor and so on. But the fact is that, leadership role changes every decade. We've seen that historic, and I don't think we're going to see any changeover as we move forward. Maybe that decade will actually shorten further as we move forward. I think you will get businesses which will become a lot more relevant. I could name a few. A lot of them will be in the private space as we speak right now. But I surely think that if one wants to call the demise of leaders, you couldn't get a better time than this right now. I think leadership role, the values for the leaders that we've historically paid, I think that will all change over the period of time. In the next couple of years, maybe sooner, you will have a lot of new age businesses which will be a lot more relevant for the next 5 to 10 years, which will evolve. I think the most critical aspect will be KYC, which is really know your customer in this case. So, if companies really know their customers well enough, they are the businesses which will be a lot more relevant over a period.
So you were really ahead of the curve with Paytm. I mean, what a bullseye that was. Now Paytm's recording, what, 5 million transactions a day because of this demonetization. If you had to pick, the next big thing, the next big theme, maybe not in the listed space, even in the unlisted market, what do you see as a trend?
Sonia, I think there's one clear direction that I see. Sorry. I think if we look at the last decade in India, there are actually only 4 brands which have evolved in India. And that's the reality. And that's ironic.
Which is?
So you could call Paperboat as a brand which has evolved. A Fog Dio, which is again one of my investee companies. You could call Go as another one. And Patanjali. I frankly can't think of the 5th brand which has evolved in India. Everything else which has evolved is a platform. So Paytm is a platform, so is a Flipkart and so on. But all other brands that we think today are platforms and not really product brands. So I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to identify spaces which will create brands unless they are disruptors in their own spaces, right? So if there are large spaces and companies and players are adapt to changing course of those businesses, I think then they'll be able to create brands. What spaces to really look at? I think clearly anything to do with mobile payments, obviously, one of it which we already named, Paytm and stuff. I think those could be very relevant businesses as you move. Dairy companies, I think the big theme also as we evolve is unorganized to organized, regional to national, and unbranded to branded, right? So with GST also coming in, hopefully coming in now. I think you'll start to see a lot of those spaces evolve. So maybe dairy companies which have historically been very regional strongholds, I think that could become very large. So I just think that, incrementally investors will need to be a lot more careful than what historically we've been. I think it's going to be a challenge to really get winners out of the 5,000 odd listed businesses that we have today.
Okay, actually,